Well, goddamn, July the 4th barbecue. This here's a great time.
It is fantastic, Cleese. I am so happy that you invited me to this here shindig.
Oh, man, there's fireworks. We got hot dogs and hamburgers with little American flags on them.
Oh.
And they're edible.
Cletus, you have planned everything to a T. May I tip my hat to you, sir?
No surprises whatsoever.
Well, I've already had some of your fantastic barbecue. Now, I heard you was going to have a fireworks display later, but first you got some sort of special guest?
Oh, I sure did. Did somebody say special guest?
Oh, my God.
That's right. It's me, the president, and guess what? I brought Frank's Red.
You what?
Frank's Red? For the barbecue?
You brought red sauce to the barbecue, to the American bar. And that hat, that mega hat you got is awfully red too. Cletus?
Mike?
Get him!
Melania?
We'll get that risky sympathizer!
Patrick Swayze? Oh, Nathan, as Canadians, we're in a patriotic mood this week.
Well, yes, because we actually had our celebration early. Got it in there, so consider it.
Well, happy belated Canada Day to you and our Canadian listeners.
They all said thank you as well.
Oh, thank you, eh?
Right, eh?
So sorry I didn't say it earlier. So sorry.
Sorry, we're interrupting your podcast there, eh?
Oh, no problem, eh?
No problem.
No need to be sorry.
No worries there, fella.
Yeah, you just go get on your caribou and, go get your whale blubber and eat it in your igloo. Yeah. This is a podcast.
It is.
It is called What Were They Thinking?
It is.
We talk about bad to questionable movies. Every week. And I'm Brendan.
I'm Nathan.
And this week we are, yes, it is July the 4th. This episode is airing on July the 4th. You may be listening to it on July the 6th or the 7th. I don't know your life. But, airing on July the 4th, so we decided to do a poll to see which overly over-the-top, crazy patriotic movie that you would like to see us do. And overwhelmingly, you guys selected 1984's Red Dawn. First time I've ever seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Had you seen the remake?
No.
Oh my.
But we are talking about the PG-13 1984 Red Dawn. And I say PG-13 because this is the first movie to officially receive a PG-13 rating.
Yep. Created because of Temple of Doom.
Yeah. Temple of Doom and like a few other movies around that time that people were just like, it's a little too violent for PG, but it's not quite an R. We have something in between. And you know what? I'm okay with that.
That kind of always weirded me out, I guess. I always thought that PG, I always thought PG-13 was worse than was not as bad rather as PG rather than worse. Oh.
No, because PG is just parental guidance suggested.
Yeah, it's like the difference between, E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Or Temple of Doom.
Yeah, whereas PG-13 is parental guidance required for anyone under 13, basically.
Right.
But yes, Red Dawn, and holy crap, there are no stars in the sky tonight, Nathan, because they are all in this movie. We have a cavalcade of stars.
This is, man, I always see this movie as almost an unrecognized Brat Pack movie.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Because we've got, some of them are not technically Brat Pack, but we've got a lot of big stars from the 80s, and some of them are. We've got Patrick Swayze. Mm-hmm. We've got Charlie Sheen. Leah Thompson, Jennifer Grey. Then you got
Powers Booth.
Yeah, then you got great older actors like Powers Booth. You got Ben Johnson.
Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh, we will talk about him later. Harry Dean Stanton.
My friend Ben, big fan of this type of movie, like the schlocky alternate history war movies.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Dean Stanton is his absolute favorite part of this movie.
I don't know how it can't be anyone's favorite part.
Right.
And yeah, we'll get to the insanity of that. So I just want to say also that the director of this movie, John Milius, I was looking up a little bit about him. He is a crazy man.
You don't say. I think he left it all on the screen.
Yeah. If you want to talk about people in Hollywood, that are left wing, right wing, etc., he's he often describes himself as an extreme right wing anarchist.
Oh, so he is where left meets right on the extremes.
Yeah, he is a nutball. I'll tell you what. He did this movie. He took this movie on to direct it for $1.25 million plus a gun of his choice. And that is not the first time he's done that. That was a regular thing where he would be like, "Give me my fee plus I want a gun."
I think he's just flying his red flag as proud as he can, I guess.
Oh man, this is a right wing, just a wet dream of extreme violence and just like commie this and commie that.
I have a familiar note that keeps popping up from time to time on our movies. This is a Republican comedy, right?
Yeah, I would say. I think we've covered many movies where we said this is, where you said this is Republican humor. This is Republican violence.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that before we get into the movie, I also want to note that this movie was originally written as like one of those like Apocalypse Now type anti-war movies.
Yeah. It did not turn out that way.
No. This man, Kevin Reynolds, wrote the script. Once Milius came on board, he basically took Kevin Reynolds aside and he said, "This isn't going to be easy for you to take because, you're kind of full of yourself. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it into my movie and you're just going to have to sit back and watch it. It may not be too pleasant. So my advice is to take the money you have, spend it on a young girl, enjoy getting laid, and write another script because this isn't going to be fun to watch."
Oh my. It's funny though because there are elements within that are retained from some of the original stuff, like that whole war is hell, we shouldn't be doing this. It peeks its head in every once in a while, but throughout this is let's fuck some shit up.
Oh, basically.
Yeah.
And the last thing I guess we'll say is that the budget of this movie in 1984, so this is quite a bit. Budget of this movie was $17 million, and it took in $38 million at the box office. So it was a hit.
Okay.
It wasn't like wasn't like a Raiders of the Lost Ark hit or anything, but it was a hit.
Right.
And of course, it retains its fame to this day. I think almost everyone you say Red Dawn, they know what you're talking about.
I think it's more infamy than fame. One of my favorite, I guess, cultural effects or legacies from this movie is, I think it's Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Okay.
It's either San Andreas or Grand Theft Auto 4, but I'm pretty sure it's San Andreas because it's out in California, and you get a lot of like liberal Republican hard divide there, I guess. One of the adverts on the radio stations is for Ammunition, the place where you get all your guns and your armor and whatnot in Grand Theft Auto. They have come out to our gun range, bring the kids, fire off an Uzi, and stick around for the nightly screening of the documentary Red Dawn.
I love the detail of it being nightly.
Yeah.
Well, let's get going into this movie. Let's not waste any time because this movie sure doesn't waste any time either.
Here's the thing: I don't think us talking about this movie in any way, shape, or form is going to be a waste of time because this movie.
Well, we start out, we meet Jed and his brother Matt. Jed played by Patrick Swayze, Matt by a very young Charlie Sheen.
Mm-hmm.
As well as, I think Daryl or Danny is in the car with them.
Is that C. Thomas Howell?
I thought it might have been. I thought it was one of the brothers, though. But maybe.
Well, no, like, it's the two brothers, but I don't know who the other... I can't remember who the other fellow is.
Well, no, that's what I mean. I didn't know if it was C. Thomas Howell or if it was, like, one of the other brothers, like Daryl and Danny.
Oh, okay.
They were brothers, too.
See, because... And I couldn't tell because I was absolutely blinded by the star presence of Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen. I did like the opening right before you start to get to meet the characters. It's just the B-roll of different places before everything starts to happen, and all I could think was, "It's morning in America." This is Reagan's America.
Oh, this is like right in the thick of it. 1984. That's exactly halfway into his presidency.
Yeah,
it has a certain tone.
Mm-hmm.
But they're kind of razzing each other about this football game. Charlie. I was going to say Charlie Sheen, Charlie Sheen, and the rest of the team recently lost. I think Patrick Swayze is supposed to be like just out of high school, or he's like a senior.
No, he's an older brother because he doesn't go to school with them. He drops them off.
Yeah, but they're going to history class, and almost immediately we are jumping right into the plot because there are Soviet paratroopers just descending from the sky.
Yep.
And I think it's hilarious that we get this Russian invasion and their first target is a school. Not a military base, but a high school.
Well, you don't go attack a military base. It's 1984. Those guys have guns. Go to a school. No one's armed.
Well, I mean, not yet, unless Mr. President has something to say about it. Good lord.
Right, because if that had happened, old Frank McRae would at least had some sort of chance, because he gets mowed the fuck down.
Oh yeah, so their teacher goes out to investigate. Yeah, shot like 4 times, dead.
Yeah.
Then they just open fire on the classroom from outside the building, and one of the kids gets shot in the head.
Yeah. And I guess right out of the gate, a lot of the implausibility comes into play for me, because they say with some text at the first that the U.S. has kind of pulled back and is really a kind of an isolationist country in this timeline. And so NATO, they don't have anything to do with NATO, and Russia and, is it Cuba, is it El Salvador?
Oh man, I don't even remember. I know Cuba's part of it, and I think El Salvador is too, maybe.
Yeah, it's 3 communist countries that are doing this team up. But I feel like even though NATO wouldn't have anything to do with the U.S. for the most part, I feel they would be hard pressed not to help fight back, because Canada is right above the U.S., and they're a huge part of NATO. They don't say anything about Canada pulling back from NATO, because we're good neighbors.
Canada was still hungover because we had our celebrations a few days before.
Right.
So,
but I feel that NATO would have stepped in a lot sooner. I don't think this would have got to, February was the last month?
No. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it would have been nipped in the bud pretty early.
Yeah. So the commies descend upon the high school, and Patrick Swayze, having just dropped off Charlie Sheen and another minor, swings back and picks them up because he sees all this shit going down too.
Mm-hmm.
And he manages to save 5 of them, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's Swayze, Sheen. I think there's 6 of them. It's Swayze, Sheen, Daryl, Danny, Arturo, and Robert, played by C. Thomas Howell.
Okay, so there we go.
Yeah. So they all escape in Swayze's truck, and they get they get sidetracked. There's like a huge roadblock which they've already set up, even though they just got there.
Yeah.
But a U.S. chopper is right there to blow that the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
So they just drive into the field, and they gotta piss in that radiator, Nathan.
Oh my God, yes.
Meanwhile, I was honestly shocked watching this movie. I was like, okay, the villains are all going to be 100% faceless, evil, like commies, and they mostly are.
Yeah.
But there is one character here that we meet that kind of has a little bit of nuance.
General Geraldo Rivera?
I wrote his real name, but I like that better.
Okay.
I think his name was Colonel Bella.
Oh no, he had the Geraldo stash. He's General Geraldo.
He's not there to fight. He's just looking for a scoop.
Right.
He's like, let's head over to Al Capone's tomb. I hear there's treasure. But yeah, Geraldo Rivera tells his troops, hey, hit up the surplus stores and check out all the files under, like, personal ownership of guns. Because I guess they're just going to, like, find out who those people are and take their guns or kill them or whatever.
Well, they're gonna find them through the gun registry, which is bad because of the Second Amendment. That's what they're driving at there.
So this is okay. So this is an attack on the left here,
right?
With the whole like
that's where my first. This is a Republican comedy, right? That's my first note next to this whole thing, because yeah, it says the gun registry. So they're gonna go and they're gonna raid the town's gun registry and find out all the people who have weapons, round them up, take the guns and the people because they may be rabble rousers.
I also have a note at this point where I wrote down, just based on the cast in this movie, can you imagine at the after party how much cocaine was consumed?
Powers Booth alone.
Yeah, huge cokehead. Charlie Sheen was standing around being like, guys, I think we're going a little crazy here.
Well, it's 84 Charlie Sheen, so...
Yeah, he might have not been quite on.
Oh, no, but I'm not saying he would... I'm saying he wouldn't have been at the notoriable level that he was, say, about 10 years ago.
True. I think once he got to, like, the movie Wall Street, it was, like, pretty intense, though.
Yeah. We go back to the kids. They've actually managed to hide out somewheres, and the school president thinks he should be the leader of this group.
And the school president is C. Thomas Howell, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It's the dude with the glasses. Probably Arturo, because that...
Here's the thing. The three actors... Because I don't know those actors, the ones who play, like, Danny, Daryl, and Arturo. Yeah. But I feel like those characters are very, like... I mean, all the characters are kind of stock, let's be real. But those characters are a lot more stock, like, nothings than Swayze, Sheen, and Ponyboy.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it certainly doesn't help me tell them apart.
No, that's for sure. And I mean, especially since you don't get a whole lot of character investment in them, like you said.
No.
Because you almost feel like they're red shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to know about Ensign Arturo. We just know he has a red shirt on and he's gonna die.
We're gonna send down Swayze, Sheen, C. Thomas Howell, and Red Shirt. Ah, damn it.
But I find, and this whole thing, it turns into Lord of the Flies pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's an element. That was a huge element of the original script.
Yeah. That
Milius said he took out most of, but he kept like a little bit in just for like scenes like this.
For the dramatic stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess in the original script, there was a lot more tension, and I think people turned on each other, like, in a much more dramatic way. And we do get a moment of that. We do get an extreme moment of that later, a little bit. But I guess there was more. I'm guessing Ponyboy's character got a lot more evil or violent or whatever.
I would say, yeah, violent, because he's pretty bad throughout afterwards, like after everything goes down with him.
Yeah, so well, they finally agree, like, okay, we should stay up here for a while. Like, we don't need, we should go down there. It's like World War III down there. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So they're talking about.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. Then they decide to go out hunting deer.
Yes, because they smash over into October, because we get a sense of feeling throughout the movie, because they keep putting up the title card with some B footage, usually, of what month it is.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure this might not have been what Charlie Sheen said, but I think... So they shoot the deer, and they're trying to make Robert a man, because they mentioned that a few times.
Yeah.
Fuck Robert. Ponyboy. It's Ponyboy, guys. C. Thomas Howell.
C. Thomas Howell, yeah. Soul Man.
They're just, oh god, coming soon? So they're trying to make Ponyboy like a man, and they're like, once he shoots the deer, Charlie Sheen says, all right, now you gotta drink its blood.
Yes.
Is that a thing?
No. I wouldn't recommend it, because my note after that is he has Lyme disease now.
Well, that's what I thought. I said that doesn't seem like an actual thing. That seems like a John Milius, oh, you're a man!
And you're 100% it is, because when they did the remake, they did this scene, and the Robert character started to drink the blood, and Hemsworth and the other guy were like, oh my god, we never did that. We didn't think you'd do it.
See, that's what I expected was going to happen in this movie.
Yeah. Well, if not just for the fact alone that they could have said something to the effect, you might have Lyme disease now. Like, don't drink raw deer blood. You will get sick.
But this is the thing. He drinks the blood, and it's a very like, oh my god, Charlie Sheen is like, you're a changed man now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, okay, symbolism. But here's the line that I was saying that I don't think he actually said, but when Robert asks what does it taste like, Charlie Sheen is like, it's salty like a steak when you get a nosebleed.
Okay, yes, he did say that. That was the line.
So it's like eating a steak when you have a nosebleed?
I guess.
What? Is that supposed to be relatable?
I don't think it should be. But I feel that Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen's characters would know a bit about having a bloody nose while having a steak, because they're the kinds of brothers that would get into a fist fight at a family barbecue. But still, like, love each other and have a beer at the end of it.
Well, I mean, they'd probably fight over Baby. Sheen would try to put her in a corner. Swayze would sweep in and try to prevent that.
Oh my god. And now this movie, 84, Dirty Dancing came out 88?
Yeah, like 87, 88, I think.
Okay. So, in that movie, there's supposed to be a fairly wide age disparity between the two of them, isn't there?
Full confession, I've only seen, like, bits of that movie.
Okay. Well, from my understanding, in Dirty Dancing, he's supposed to be not pervy older, but at least socially not well looked on older.
Are you saying, like, the age difference maybe like Powers Booth and Leah Thompson's age difference in this movie?
Well, not as bad as that. I'll get to that cut a little bit later. Because I read about that too.
Yeah.
But no, there's supposed to be like 6 years or something like that between Baby and Patrick Swayze character in that movie, and there's like 2 years in this one.
Yeah, they're supposed to be around the same age, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Dirty Dancing aside.
Yeah, coming soon.
Let's go down to downtown Zagreb, where they're burning them books.
Yep. And so they decide, after a while, like, we got to send some people down there. So let's send the 3 actors we know. Charlie Sheen, Patrick Swayze.
Way we know they get back alive.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise I'd be like, no, I don't know what happened. So the 2 brothers, obviously, Sheen and Swayze, and Ponyboy. So they send them down there to check it out. The Russians have basically taken over. There is a Russian-American Friendship Center, which I thought was a pretty funny joke.
Well, they're, it's the whole winning of the hearts and the minds thing. They don't have to legitimately be their friends, but they have to kind of pretend so people won't rise up. Yeah.
And I think the Friendship Center thing makes me laugh because of what happens to it later. But
oh yes, definitely.
So they're walking around town. They find out everybody's kind of like, all the citizens are kind of not even making eye contact, except for this one girl. They go into, I think it's like a bookstore.
Yes, and she's like the KGB are looking for you.
Yeah. Because I think they know that there's a bunch of guns missing, and they're looking for the people who took them.
Yeah. Well, because when they were getting away at the first, didn't they stop at Ponyboy's dad's place and load
Yeah,
up on guns.
Yeah, and they raided the place for weapons and shit.
Yep.
So, she kind of informs them, like, they're like, well, where are our parents? She tells them they're holding people at a re-education camp, aka, fucking prison camp.
The drive-in. No.
Yeah, at the drive-in. Which I guess if you're going to use a location, that's a good place if you're planning to have, like, educational films.
I guess, yeah.
And it's there that we meet Harry Dean Stanton as Jed and Matt's father.
Yes.
In possibly the greatest, the greatest, like, aggression switch ever.
Oh my god. Yeah, because they get there and they're asking around about their dad, and someone goes and finds him, and they bring him back, and he's so... I get being depressed in a prison camp re-education center, but, I mean, he's just extra down.
He's so somber. He's like,
right?
Don't cry for me. Which, by the way, I gotta say, man, I like the actors in this movie, but they do not convincingly cry.
No. And
Patrick Swayze literally looks like someone just soaked his face in water. And Charlie Sheen, at one point, the way he says, like, Daddy?
Yeah, oh my god, that was weird.
There's a difference between, like, the way Swayze says it, because he kind of just goes like, Daddy, I love you. And Sheen just literally transforms into a child and is like, Daddy?
I feel that he was supposed to try to affect some sort of rural accent, and it did not come out like that, because, like you said, it came out like a toddler.
Like a toddler, or like someone who's into, like, daddy situations or something.
Well, not in this Republican movie.
Oh, that's true.
So, after he has his speech with them that's somber. And,
very somber.
And he's basically, be men, you don't cry for me, and take that hurt until it turns into something else, that sort of stuff. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna go, and we're gonna try to fight against these invading Ruskies, El Salvadorans, and Cubans.
Mm-hmm. Commies.
Right. And they're like, I love you, and then they leave, and then he fucking goes off.
Oh, boy.
I hope you have a clip for this.
Boys! Avenge me! Avenge me!
Oh my god.
It's out of fucking nowhere.
It's the best part of this movie.
It's so crazy. I rewound it 3 times.
I could have legitimately rewound it 3 times because I watched this on VHS.
Oh, crisp sound, beautiful picture.
It was so hard. So hard. I'm doing this for the credit, for the street credit. Taking my notes and watching grainy VHS on my high definition TV.
You need to get your hipster credibility.
Right.
Following this crazy ass ending to the scene, the 3 guys go to Mr. Mason's house. Mr. Mason, played by legendary actor Ben Johnson.
Yes.
Who basically informs them that Robert's dad has also... Ponyboy's dad has also died because he was accused of stealing all the weapons and he didn't want to sell the kids down the river, so they killed him.
Right.
But he gives them... I think he gives them quite a few weapons, too.
He does. He also tells them about Free America and the Occupied Zone.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I think there's a lot of, like, exposition in this scene.
Yeah. And I don't know, have you ever seen the Man in the High Castle?
I have not.
Okay, the Amazon show. It's really, really good. Alternate history, but with, Nazis in World War II. Anyways,
okay.
In that version of America, I think the West Coast is controlled by the Japanese, and another large portion of the U.S. is controlled by Germany, and in between there's like this gray zone, which is essentially what they're describing Free America as.
Okay.
Where people are, quietly and not so quietly fighting back against the occupying forces.
So it's like the same idea.
Yeah, same idea. And they're in the occupied zone, and we're told that this is officially World War III.
Yes. There's no skirting around that issue. It's World War III, boys.
Despite the fact that none of the rest of the world is stepping in, apparently.
They're all watching via closed circuit, though.
Right.
There is a line later where they're like, England's gonna help, but they suck, basically. Oh, and China, China are allies, but they're all screaming and dead.
Which is weird because I think they still would have been a communist country at that time.
Yeah.
So
that was strange. See, Russia and China were both heels. And
right.
Russia turned on its own heel partner, turning China face.
Right.
See, I don't like the heel turns where the heel just gets beaten up by other heels and then turns face. It makes them look kind of weak.
Yeah, and obviously they can't help out the other tag team partner because they're too busy, screaming.
Exactly. Yeah, they're too busy screaming.
Whatever it is, the hell they said in this movie.
That's my favorite documentary. China is screaming. Ben Johnson also says, I want you to take some more precious cargo with you. My 2 granddaughters, who are, they're in the basement, which I kind of understand he was hiding them out from, like, when Russians came by, because apparently they tried to have their way with them or whatever.
Yeah, because not only are they commies, they're raping commies.
Oh, yeah, they make sure you know that these people are the villains.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like, you could probably let them out of the basement from time to time. Like, they probably don't have to be in there all the time. But it's Tony, played by Jennifer Grey, of course, of Dirty Dancing, and Erica, played by Leah Thompson, who I thought was, even a year later she did Back to the Future, she looked much different in this movie, I thought.
Yeah?
I mean, she was recognizable, but, like, I don't know, she looked a little different. Maybe a little bit of a harder edge to her.
Frazzled and filthy, I mean...
Yeah.
Resistance fighting isn't pretty work.
Frazzled and filthy, I like the sound of that.
I think that's the alliteration that makes it sexy.
Alliteration is hot as fuck. Sally sells seashells by the seashore.
Careful
Ow!
there, he goes banned from Podcoin.
Hey, all you Podcoin listeners out there, slide into your seat. Take off your pants. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, you're good? All right,
Yep.
Good.
Slide into our dirty mouths.
Here's a callback.
On Twitter. Okay, so anyway, the girls are now with our heroes, and they take off on horses back to whence they came.
While Radio Free America plays in the background.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they gives them a radio too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I believe this is where we start to get the first real conflict between these guys and the Ruskies, because a bunch of soldiers show up at this national park, and to which I wrote, "Oh, they just want to invade because they want to be they want to be tourists.
They want to get the good tourist shots without all the other tourists being around."
Yeah. There is a legitimately funny moment here where, so these guys are, one of them looks like Clint Howard, by the way, but these guys are standing around this national park, and one of them claims to know English.
Well, it's that national monument named after Chris Brown.
What was it called?
Arapaho.
Ah, Jesus.
What? Come on.
It was before its time. But one of them's reading it, and he claims to know English, and it's a little funny scene where he's pretending it's like a war memorial or something. It's really just like a park.
Well, and apparently it was a battlefield for some important historical battling. They're in Colorado, aren't they?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because I'm looking at the actual sign while he's saying, I'm like, that's not what it says. But at the same time, I guess, I mean, let's call our heroes what they are. What we learn what they are later. They're the Wolverines.
Which confused me for the longest time because I saw this movie inappropriately young. And
What?
I knew, yeah, get out. So I remembered that there were the Wolverines, and as years went by, I didn't see the movie, and I just remembered that, and I didn't remember that they were in Colorado. I always thought this was in Michigan.
That makes more sense if they're Wolverines.
Well, but because that's the university sports team's name, and
Yeah.
they take the Wolverines because that's their high school sports team name, which is fine. But again, growing up being like, why was it was in Michigan, but why were they with rural accents? So
They could have called themselves the Avalanches.
oh my god, I didn't think they had the Avalanche at the time.
Oh no, that's my knowledge. That's the limit to my knowledge of sports.
I think the only thing would have had at that time were maybe the Nuggets and the Broncos. They could have called themselves the Broncos, but I mean, you don't want to get into a fight with a Bronco. And they don't fight, they just like kick you and run away. Whereas a Wolverine, we find out, is a small yet vicious rodent.
Oh god, yes. That fucking scene too. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, so they're checking out the sights. And then at the same time, yeah, we get the Wolverines. They're kind of like hanging out outside the cliff, so I guess they had to make a quick dive to go unnoticed.
Yeah.
However, Jennifer Grey starts slipping, and they notice her. They start chasing, and our Wolverine heroes basically end up managing to gun down these commies.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is where they first think, oh, you know what? We can fight back.
Yes, because isn't this where Ponyboy is the first time he kills someone?
I think so, yes. And my favorite kill is Jennifer Grey accidentally shooting that guy. Like, full of holes.
Yeah.
So of course, once this happens, we get Geraldo Rivera being like, okay, don't travel in small groups anymore. We got to find out who's killing us, and this area is now like part of the war zone or whatever.
Yes, and aren't they meeting with the mayor?
Yes,
when they're talking about this.
Yep, this is where they meet with the mayor, and he tries to tell them that his son Daryl would not do anything like this.
Well, he also says that his son Daryl is not part of an elite military unit. That's not what an Eagle Scout is.
Yeah, so not only are we portraying these communist villains as obviously evil, and apparently some of them are rapey, they're also supposed to be really dumb.
Yes.
Which doesn't really make any sense when you think of everything else in the movie.
No. And I was really surprised that they stopped short of identifying the mayor as a Democrat or something like that.
Oh my god, I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, and by the way, I voted for Carter.
So they go from here to a section where they're burying those 3 dead soldiers, but they're also preparing a mass grave because there's going to be an execution.
Yep, and included in this is, I think one of them is Arturo's father. Harry Dean Stanton is in the mix.
Yep.
And I think someone else's dad? Maybe? Those two for sure.
Yeah.
And they are... we get the most Murica moment of this entire movie, I think. Because they're about to have a mass execution, like firing squad, and we get them singing, America!
Yes, because their last symbol of rebelling against or not going along with the communists is to sing America the Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all gunned the fuck down. Make no mistake about it, guys. This is the first PG-13 movie. It is fucking violent as shit.
I feel like if this movie was made now, they would probably get an R rating.
It may, because like there's even like some blood in it too. Like it's not excessive, but it feels like as the first PG-13 movie, they were still trying to figure it out, like what they can include, what they can't include.
Yeah.
They don't do the one F-bomb, I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Maybe they were like, you could be. That's such a fucked up American thing though. You could be as violent as you want, just don't swear or show boobs.
Yeah.
Whereas Canada, we're like, whatever.
Swear and show boobs, but dial back the violence, would you? That's not polite, eh?
Oh, shoot, why not be just nice to each other, eh?
Well, you already got your boobs out and swearing, so...
9.5 weeks in Canada, rated G.
So we get a montage after this. Yeah. And where they're fighting back and they're Wolverines!
Oh, the great, battle cry.
Yeah.
Because Ponyboy is getting more militant and crazy, I think, at this point, too.
Well, when he finds out his dad died, it put him on that edge, and he never looked back.
Yeah, a switch goes off in his head.
And then we get that explanation you alluded to earlier about what a Wolverine is.
Is that here?
It is, because after that, because they explain that, the Wolverine, they're calling themselves that because that's their sport team, but make no mistake about it, they're not to be taken lightly, or something to that effect, because then he describes what a Wolverine is, a small yet vicious rodent? Not rodent, Anyways, they're a small woodland creature not to be trifled with, essentially.
Are you talking about the scene where this guy's doing, the PowerPoint presentation?
No, because
okay.
they do that again later, but this is the first time I think it's mentioned. Because after that, it says November, and my note is, all of that happened in a month?
Yep. In this montage, too, I love the scenes of, poor Jennifer Grey having to do all the, worst jobs.
Yeah.
Riding her bicycle up to the filling station, and then having to pretend to, let herself be robbed, almost sexually assaulted.
Yes.
And then they take her, basket on her bike, and it turns out to be a bomb. So she has to, run from them, which, by the way, they're assuming they won't just shoot her. And then 3 of the Wolverines pop up from under the ground and shoot them down.
Mow them down, yeah.
Yeah. And then she also does the thing later, again, calling back to the Friendship Center. As she goes into the Friendship Center, comes out, again, almost gets sexually assaulted, and then the Friendship Center blows the fuck up.
There's not one non-rapey Russian in this movie.
Except for maybe Geraldo Rivera.
Well, he's not a Russian.
Oh, right, sorry.
He's a commie, but he's not a Russian.
Right.
We go into November, and Leah Thompson is now wearing some revolutionary chic. Doesn't she have, a beret or something on?
She does.
But she looks like more like Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club than a revolutionary fighter. This is a big qualm with me in these movies. If supplies are supposed to be short in situations like this, where they're fighting back against an opposing force, or it's the end of the world, or whatever, nobody shaves or puts on makeup, but they look as crisp as they did the first day of the revolution, up until the last day. There's no shaving, the hair doesn't get longer. It's weird.
Yeah. I feel like modern movies, some of them are a little better at this, but yeah, no one looks haggard. No one looks like they've been through shit. They all look like they're showing up on the set and getting done up. Yeah. But we meet Powers Booth in this scene. Yeah. Playing
the dad from Freddy Krueger.
Wait, what? Which one?
The first one. Powers Booth is oh no, sorry, John Saxton. I always get those two mixed up. I thought Powers Booth was in Enter the Dragon for a long time. And I was like, it's not. It's John Saxton.
You're like, wait, no, that's Bruce Lee. My bad. But yes, Powers Booth, looking old always.
Yes, haggard.
Yep. But I think he's only in his 30s when this movie is shot.
Really?
Yeah. Because I also was wondering, but apparently he's about 13 years older than Leah Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like it's still weird.
Yeah.
Because so as soon as Leah Thompson finds him, gives him the communist quiz, asks him the capital of Texas, of course, because Texas is the heart of America.
Despite they're in Colorado.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she's decided, okay, you're cool, you're American. He's a fallen F-15 pilot, and for the rest of not the rest of the movie, but for a little while after this, we get a lot of hinting at a romance between these two. Mm-hmm. To which I would like to add the note that there was originally a scene in which they fuck.
Yeah.
Say yikes.
Right.
It was like, I guess most of it was going to be like off camera. They just disappear out of frame, but still.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I think Leah Thompson was, what, like 20 at the time, maybe?
Yeah, she would not have been very old at that time. Because I think she did Back to the Future, where she was supposed to play more teenager, obviously, throughout the movie. So, yeah, she could not have been much older than, like, 22 or 23.
Yeah, because, I mean, even... I think even Howard the Duck was like that same year or the next year or something, and she's super young in that too. Now, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If you're Leah Thompson, do you fuck Powers Booth or Howard the Duck?
Powers Booth?
I don't know. Howard has got some charm to him.
He doesn't have any genitalia.
Apparently, ducks have like spiky genitalia.
Yikes! Not selling me.
We are not talking about Red Dawn.
No, we're not.
So yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff here where Powers Booth is kind of giving us more exposition, mentioning that a bunch of states got taken down, like Kansas and Washington and shit.
Yeah.
They've been like nuked, and this is of course where he mentions the stuff we said earlier about China, screaming Chinese people, and England being worthless.
Yes, and he tells stories of cannibal sawdust rat people.
Yeah,
really. Normally they say, "Show, don't tell." I'm certainly glad they told in this movie.
Oh, you didn't want to see like the Jim Henson effects for that?
Oh, gross.
Cannibal sawdust rat people. Oh, if you gross, just wait till next week's movie.
Yeah. So Powers Booth starts kind of walking around the camp, and we got the kid notching his rifle, and he tells Ponyboy at this time, all that hate's gonna burn you up. And he has the second best part of this movie where he says, it keeps me warm. Talking about his hate. His hatred keeps him warm.
His hatred for everything red keeps him warm.
Yeah.
Murica! So we get some planning here for them to go into town and take out some commies.
Yep.
They go into the re-education center and arm some of the prisoners. There's one point where Powers Booth is walks right up to a plane, and the pilot clearly sees him but doesn't move, and then
because he had the Russian hat on. Remember, they gave him the Russian hat from one of the fallen soldiers or one of the fallen generals.
Right. So it blows up the plane. They blow up a bunch of them, and it goes off pretty much without a hitch.
And with very little blood as well, surprisingly.
Very little blood.
So I think this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, they got shot, but we didn't see the blood, so that would fall under PG-13.
Which, isn't that kind of worse? Isn't it kind of better to see, the results of violence rather than just to be you just shoot someone and they fall, that's the end.
Yeah.
I would think...
It's less unsettling.
Yeah, I would think if I was, I don't know. If a young person watching an action movie, I would want them to know the actual, results of something like that. Rather than just sanitizing it no, they just fall over. It's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, MPAA, that's another discussion for another day. So, I guess they go back to Ben Johnson at this point.
Yeah, and here's they keep noting, they noted here and also throughout the movie, saying that they're children. These aren't 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all people who... I mean, they're probably a year or two away, as far as this movie's concerned, from being voting adults.
Yeah, they're all around 17, 18.
Yeah.
But apparently there's all these people that wanna join the Wolverines, and Swayze's like, I can't do that. I don't want to recruit. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't do this forever.
Right. I want to teach dancing and the Catskills.
Me and Jennifer Grey are gonna go learn how to dance.
Oh, this is where we meet, like, the Russian Ernest, isn't it?
Russian Ernest?
Because the Russian commander that comes in now, who's talking to General Geraldo, he looks like Ernest dressed up as a stereotypical communist. Or, Jim Varney.
Know what I mean, comrade?
That would have been great.
Jim Varney in Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Even though, like, he hadn't made an Ernest movie yet.
I feel he would have had the chops to play it straight.
But this is also the bit where we finally suffer some casualties.
Yes.
Because a couple tanks are rolling in, looking for the Wolverines now. And Arturo kind of loses his mind because he's hiding from the tanks. They're firing, like, right above his head. And he starts shooting wildly. He gets gunned down, and then Powers Booth gets a grenade, like, blows up, like, right behind him and cuts him up and kills him.
Yeah.
And just as he dies, he has the great line. He's like, "Shoot straight for once, you army pukes."
I actually have a comparison between him and Sergeant Slaughter with that. Just to make sure we get the wrestling reference in.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got two of them now.
Yep.
So, Leah Thompson's obviously grieving over this because, she was bonding with this old grandpa. And I thought it was a very tasteless thing to say for Jennifer Grey, how they're like, well, should we bury him? And right in front of a grieving Leah Thompson, she says, well, there's not much left to bury.
Yikes.
Like, well, your soon-to-be, or your almost boyfriend is, like, in pieces, so,
But we move on into Febtober.
Febtober? That's a trick question!
We have a military parade, and there's a troop talk, and there's all this rhetoric, so we show that, it's very military, so these guys are evil.
Very evil.
And so during this, these meetings and pep talks, this is where we get our second, broader explanation to the troops of what Wolverines truly are.
Yeah, and this is the guy, so this guy is actor William Smith. I guess this guy's, Charlie Sheen said in an interview, was fucking terrifying on set.
Okay. That's something coming from Charlie Sheen.
You're right. And would not even, like, look at anyone in the eyes. Like, any of the kids playing the soldiers.
Yeah.
Would not even acknowledge them.
So is he just being super method?
I maybe, but I don't think they ever did anything with him after, so I don't know if he was being super method or if he was just a dickhole.
Well, could be both.
This is also coming from Charlie Sheen.
Right.
As you said. Also, I want to note, too, that Ponyboy said about Charlie Sheen, because they were filming during the winter, so it was very cold for a lot of the scenes. And he said, to give you an idea of how cold it is, a lot of us were willing to huddle up and sleep next to Charlie Sheen. So, I don't know if he was too popular around his co-workers.
Yeah. So, during this explanation from the 1,000-yard stare guy,
yep,
he says, he has a line, how do you catch a fox? You become the fox or become like a fox? And I'm like, they're Wolverines. You just said they were Wolverines. Why wouldn't you just put that into the analogy? How do you catch a Wolverine? Become a Wolverine.
I also like how he has all these pictures laid out of Wolverines.
Yeah, like, you just can't explain it with one picture and say, these are the vicious animals they're emulating.
Right. It's like, you know what? Instead of all this meeting prep, maybe you could have been doing something useful.
Yeah.
He didn't do that by himself, too. He definitely outsourced.
Oh no, there were people in sections of the Russian military who were dedicated to just helping him put that PowerPoint together.
Yeah. One of them, Drew Gulak.
Oh, interesting. We just start randomly inserting fake wrestling facts into our episodes. Former WCW champion Maggie Smith.
I should note, though, Nathan, that at the time he was known as Drew Gulag.
Gulag, yes.
But yeah, they're basically like, we have to infiltrate the Wolverines. And this is where we get the Russians, finally, the tables have turned and they're stalking the Wolverines.
Mm-hmm. Because we find out that Daryl sold them out.
Yeah, kind of. Because I think he went into town, which was completely off screen. We didn't see, which I was confused about at first. I was like, did we see that scene? But I guess no. Nope. And then,
which is lazy.
Yeah, like they didn't even set it up at all. Like that feels like, oh, we have to come up with a reason how they were able to find them so easily.
Yeah.
So Daryl went into town, was kidnapped, and then the mayor, his dad, told him like, listen, just let them put this chip in you to let them find your friends, like, or they're gonna kill you and kill me or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, sold them out, but also, he's not evil. He just kind of had to do what he had to do.
Okay. Well, war is hell.
So yeah, it's because of this. The Wolverines don't suffer any losses, though. They do manage to gun down the Russians, or the Commies, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they take one soldier prisoner.
Yep.
And they have Daryl lined up too. And they're basically Swayze can't bring himself to kill Daryl, though.
Yes, and Charlie Sheen, for once, is supposed to be the better person in all of this. I gotta say, that's a stretch for acting, that Charlie Sheen is the better man.
Give that man an Oscar.
Especially if we're talking about Patrick Swayze. Well, not Donnie Darko Patrick Swayze, but, Patrick Swayze in general.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and also, what was I gonna say? Oh, also, like, they make sure to it's weird because they made sure to establish Charlie Sheen as a dick earlier when Leah Thompson comes with them, and he's just like, why don't you do the dishes?
Well, no, he actually says earlier, what's up your butt? And that's when she freaks out at him. And that's where you're like, did those Russians actually end up having their way with her?
I think she was assaulted.
Yeah.
Because she has a very, like, the whole movie, she's very, like, distant, and there's obviously something that happened to her.
Some PTSD in regards to it.
But he definitely does throw dishes at her and say, here, make yourself useful, clean these.
So, fast forward a few months into the movie, and all of a sudden, he's the voice of reason.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's weird.
Yeah.
But Robert has no problem, and he shoots Daryl fucking 2 or 3 times.
Pop, pop, pop.
And that's when you're like, oh, Ponyboy is fucking crazy. But again, I don't think they pushed that idea enough.
You don't?
No, not really. Because, like, after that, because I thought it would come to the point where they would have to take care of Ponyboy themselves.
Oh, okay. Well, see, if we're talking about the way this movie is, the director wanted it to be made.
Yeah.
If they did that, they would be killing one of their own.
Well, they did kill one of their own.
Well, yes, but he betrayed them.
Yeah.
As long as, like, C. Thomas Howell's character could be as crazy as he wants to be, as long as he doesn't do anything to betray him, they won't shoot him, or tell him to run off into the woods. Go on, C. Thomas Howell. Get C. Thomas Howell.
Harry and the Hendersons. Starts slapping him around.
Yeah.
They do kind of allude to the fact that this is a kind of Shades of Grey moment, though.
Yes.
Because everyone just kind of looks at each other and kind of looks surprisingly over at Ponyboy, and and Daryl is also like this other kid, Danny's brother, and Danny's like basically forced to watch. So I mean, to the movie's macho machismo credit, it is one of those scenes that's not that's a little bit more nuanced than everything else.
And this, I think, again, goes back to some of the anti-war elements, from the original script. And also, sad Swayze is the saddest thing ever.
Oh, are you talking about? So you speaking of right after this when him and Sheen are just like sitting by each other?
Yeah, and they like hug each other because he tells Sheen several times in the movie to not cry, to hold that in and until it becomes something else. He stops short of saying, "Hold in your sadness until it becomes venge-filled hate."
Yep. You know, for a movie filled with machismo, just oozing machismo.
Calm down there, Razor.
There is a lot of crying in the movie.
Well, real men cry too, damn it.
I'm surprised. I figured John Milius would be like, don't fucking cry.
Well, if they don't do... Well, that's... They give them those lines, right?
I'm on tier. Get back in there. So, at this point, they've suffered some losses, but they see a convoy going by that drops a bunch of food.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a real breakfast club.
Well, I have a note. They're eating so much so fast that they be just throwing up minutes later.
Oh, Jennifer Grey is just scarfing it down.
Yeah.
And I hope they didn't have to do too many takes of that. That's all. I've been watching it. That's my first thought. Like, oh God, how many times did they have to shoot this scene? These poor actors. But yeah, they're eating all this food. But then a bunch of choppers come in, and it's the commies, and they're just firing away at them. And Jennifer Grey takes a fucking like bullet right to the chest.
To which I noted, man, nobody gives baby to the coroner. And these helicopters, they look very similar to the ones from Rambo 3.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. But again, it's the Russians in both sets. So I think they have like these stock type, but man, these helicopters are fucking cool.
Well, and like I guess Rambo. No, Rambo 3 was later, I guess.
Considerably.
Yeah.
It's the one they don't show on TV anymore because it's very sympathetic to the Mujahideen.
It's very what?
It's sympathetic towards the Mujahideen.
What's the Mujahideen?
The Mujahideen, they're the ones that kind of turned into the Taliban.
Oh dear.
Yeah, because when Russia occupied Afghanistan, we're getting off, but when Russia occupied Afghanistan, the Afghanis were seen as sympathetic to the Americans, and they helped fight back the Russians. Well, when they drove out the Russians, the U.S., from my understanding, were like, okay, well, we're done. You can keep our weapons. Nothing bad will happen, bet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then... So that's why it's never shown on TV all that much anymore, because at the end, it's dedicated to the noble fighters of the Mujahideen.
Oh my God!
Swear to God.
Rambo 3, dedicated to the Taliban. So, on that note, Nathan, I'd just like to say, coming soon!
So, they're firing at these helicopters with rockets, and does one of them shoot a rocket through the helicopter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that part confused me, because he shot it, and then all of a sudden it showed a guy, like, falling under the helicopter, and I was like, wait, what?
Well, it killed a guy, but I think he wanted to get the whole helicopter.
Yeah.
So, I guess the guys in the cockpit were like, better him than us.
Yeah, that was a close one. Jerry? Oh, shit. They got Jerry. But this is where, then Ponyboy just basically stands there firing just like a regular gun, or a machine gun, I guess.
Yeah.
At the planes, and they take him out, and he's dead as fuck.
Yes.
And then we go to a heartwarming scene between Swayze and Jennifer Grey, because she's dying. She's definitely dying.
Yep.
And again, another little behind-the-scenes note, they did not get along on this film.
Really?
Yeah, at all. I don't know. I think it might have been a little better when they made Dirty Dancing, but apparently though Swayze, and this is coming from Patrick Swayze, so I mean, grain of salt. This is the person that's saying it, not Jennifer Grey. Is that apparently when they filmed this scene, she saw him as a little more vulnerable, and I guess they were like on better terms.
Okay.
Yeah. So. But yeah, no. Apparently they did not get along because the director put Swayze in charge of the rest of the actors, like the rest of the young actors. Yeah.
So the director was a method director?
I guess so. Oh,
like, you know what, Swayze? You're in charge of all these kids in the movie. You're in charge of them in real life now.
Yep. And also, I should note, John Milius did not let people call him John or Mr. Milius on the set. They referred to him as the General.
Oh my god.
I told you, Nathan, this is a crazy person.
Yes.
But, yeah, so, before she dies, well, she wants Swayze to mercy kill her.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't do that. So she's like, okay, give me one of those grenades that apparently when you pull the pin out, it lasts for like 5 minutes or however long you need it for the plot.
No. As long as she's got a hold of the spoon, it won't start the timer.
Oh, I thought she just pulled the pin out and it was like, away we go.
The way a grenade, the modern grenade work, from my understanding, is that you have the spoon on the side, right? Mm-hmm. So everyone, you hold the spoon.
This is educational. Everyone listen up. It is.
You didn't know.
No, I'm getting all our listeners to listen too.
Okay. So you hold the spoon, you hold the grenade together, you pull the pin. Mm-hmm. All right. When you throw the grenade, you're obviously letting go of the spoon, which flies off of the grenade, and that is what starts the fuse.
Oh, I thought it was just a pin.
No. So as long as she's holding on to the spoon side of the grenade, or something's keeping it from going off, the grenade's not going to go off.
And this is when the graphic appears on the top of the screen. The more you know, and the more I know.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I've just seen too many movies where someone just pulls out the pin and doesn't throw it in time, and it just blows up. So I just assumed that was all you did.
Yeah, as long as that trigger handle's there, it's not going to go off.
Well, she uses that grenade and basically sets it off.
She gets herself one last Rusky.
Yeah, so killing another soldier.
Yeah.
So now we're down. We're getting down to like Swayze and Sheen, Leah Thompson, and Danny, who we haven't talked about because he's kind of a nothing character.
Yeah.
But they're basically like, listen, this is the plan. Sheen and Swayze are going to head off the pass and shoot as many soldiers down as we can. We're probably not going to make it.
Because me and Jed are all used up, he says.
Yeah, all used up. We're 18 years old.
And did they have a note here where they're talking to each other? It goes, it's hard being brothers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, what? Okay, sure. Yeah. I think maybe that was accidentally filmed when they weren't supposed to be filming, and they were saying it's hard to play brothers.
Maybe. Because I also had the next note, this is supposed to be the shortest month. A lot of stuff happens in February.
Yeah, you know what they say, February has a lot of stuff in a short time.
Put that on a t-shirt.
It's a great quote. So yeah, the plan goes into action, and then I laughed so hard at this scene, I don't know why, but we get this cut to the communist camp, and Geraldo Rivera is writing this like letter to his wife with voiceover.
Jaded with the revolution.
Yeah, and I'm just like, wait, did we just like walk into another movie? Because it's so outside of the tone of the rest of the movie.
It is, but you do get hints of that with his character throughout the movie, because there's several times where he's talking about his wife and his kids and why he joined up with the revolution, and now he's cynical and he's hardened towards it because it's no longer about a revolution and freeing people, it's about enslaving people.
Yeah, there are little hints to it, but the way the scene is handled with the music and the voiceover and everything, it just was like, it felt like a different movie.
Yeah. Now, but then as the attack happens, I have a note that I thought I heard one of the victims yell "Cowabunga."
I hope that happened.
I honest to God thought I heard "Cowabunga" as one of like the background screams.
I think that's when Michelangelo showed up to help the brothers.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody got any pizza, dude? What the fuck is that?
Well, he's green. He ain't red, so he can fight with us.
Yeah. Even though one of our colors is red. Uh-oh. So wait, are you saying that Raphael would have been a communist?
I don't think. I mean, don't forget. I mean, one of the flag U.S. colors is red, so
Okay.
you can have a little red in you.
But, I mean, Raphael might have had to do some convincing because of his red bandana.
Well, maybe he was just Republican and not a communist.
Oh, he would have fit right in with the heroes of this movie.
He's the surliest of the Ninja Turtles.
He's the one who he's the one who believes the most in limited government.
There you go.
So wouldn't that have been great in the Turtles movies if there were just random monologues from Raphael about like limited government interference and
fiscal conservacy.
Yep. And then Leonardo shows up and he's like, "Whoa, dude! I don't agree with that at all."
I think everybody can get health care. The brothers, they're fighting Comrade Slaughter, right?
Yeah.
In this whole thing. And we get to a point where they get the drop on him, or Swayze gets the drop on him,
Yeah.
and says, "You lose."
What an idiot!
Why would you do that? Just shoot him.
They prove themselves to be stealthy hunters, and he does the stupidest thing in the movie.
Yeah, shows up behind the guy and says, "Hey, I'm behind you," and gives him time to turn around.
And he gets shot because of it.
Yes.
And we should also note that at this point, Sheen has also been shot.
Yes, because they kind of like die together in each other's arms.
Yeah, and before that, we get the last moment of Geraldo Rivera sparing their lives and saying, "Go with God."
Yeah. Heavy-handed.
A tad.
This is where the guy figures out that the communist way of life is not the way of life.
That's not the life for me. A big musical number to end the movie.
I don't want to be a commie.
That's not the kind of life I'm looking for. I'm more of a peaceful guy.
Okay.
This is the end of the war. Okay, I'm done.
So we go. This is back to the swings, because that's where Matt and Swayze go back to, because that's where one of their happy memories is from when they were kids on the swings, and that's where they die. And he says, "We're free now."
Meanwhile, Danny and Leah Thompson make it to Free America.
Yep. And then we get like a voiceover. "I never did see the brothers again."
we never did see them brothers again, but they say when you look up at the sky and you see the star twinkling, that's Jed smiling at you. But there is a plaque at the end that says, "In the early days of World War III, guerrillas, mostly children, placed the names of their lost upon this rock. They fought here alone and gave up their lives so that this nation shall not perish from the earth."
And the name of that rock, Partisan Rock.
Ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.
No, that's the name of it. That's what was on the plaque.
I was just doing a little jingle for you.
Okay. That was not rock. I mean, I feel they would have had to get, Wolf Mother or something like that in there.
I wanted this movie to end with, like, fucking John Mellencamp or something.
Ain't that America?
Something to see,
Yeah, ain't that America?
Home of the free, baby.
Little pink houses for you and me.
Oh, okay, anyway. John Mellencamp is probably a little too left-wing commie for John Milius.
Right. He wouldn't call him the general.
Sorry, the general.
Right.
So that's Red Dawn.
The reddest of dawns.
Oh man, this movie is red as fuck. And I gotta say, I was kind of surprised that it's kind of a dire ending. Because, like, the Russians got gunned down and everything, or the Commies got gunned down and everything, but I don't think that's the end of their invasion.
No, it's this movie. Have you ever played the games, the Homefront games? They borrow heavily from this movie, where communist oppressors invade America, and this movie feels like to me like if they had wanted to, or if it had been the success that they wanted it to be, even though it was a success, there would have been sequels if it were made now.
I'm honestly surprised there wasn't, because like it definitely did well enough to get a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the movies that have had sequels, this movie did fine to make a sequel. But so Nathan, I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious question, but would you recommend people to watch this ridiculous movie?
Oh, 100%. Just don't watch it on VHS.
Watch it and prepare to laugh and roll your eyes a lot, but it's entertaining nonsense. And you get to see a lot of actors before they were stars.
Yes.
So there's
like
that.
I said, almost an unrecognized Brat Pack movie.
Yeah. And again, most of those kids were hardly known when this movie came out. I think all of them were not even known at all when this movie came out.
No, but I thought it was interesting that we had two outsiders in the movie.
Oh shit!
Well, because you kept calling Steve Thomas Howell Pony Boy, but Swayze was in The Outsiders as well.
Was he Soda Pop?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. This is the Outsiders sequel we all wanted. With that being said, we're going to take a brief break, and we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
What Were They Thinking is brought to you by HostGator. HostGator is a leading provider of shared, reseller, VPS, and dedicated hosting solutions. Award-winning support is available 24/7, 365 days a year via phone, email, and live chat. Discover why over 9 million websites trust HostGator. Use the coupon code SCHLOCK for 25% off your first purchase. That's SCHLOCK, SCHLOCK, for 25% off your first purchase. What Were They Thinking is brought to you today by GameItAll.com. Whether it's video game news, the latest in music, or movie reviews, GameItAll.com is your one-stop shop for all nerdy talk.
Nathan, I am looking for a specific kind of app.
Oh, are you? What may that be?
Well, it needs to have the following. See if you can help me out.
Okay.
I want to be able to listen to podcasts.
Check.
I want to get paid for it.
Okay. Seems lofty, but okay.
I want to be able to use a promo code, preferably WWTTPD, to get bonus payment.
That's oddly specific.
Yeah, I know. What Were They Thinking Police Department? I know.
Right.
And I want to be able to get this on my Android phone, or, if I had an iOS, that'd be cool too.
Okay. I think I have something for you. I've put all the parameters into my giant mainframe computer.
Okay.
And it has returned the result Podcoin.
Podcoin.
Yes, Podcoin. It says here that it has all your favorite podcasts, including
Okay.
What Were They Thinking.
Okay.
You can earn money from it, and also if you use that oddly specific parameter of WWTTPD, the What Were They Thinking Police Department.
Woo woo.
Yes, if you use that code with the app, you'll start with bonus coins.
Oh.
So, and yeah, nope, it's on both Android and iOS. So all your requests have been met with this one, Brendan. It seems to me that Podcoin is the way to go.
I accept your answer.
Okay.
Podcoin.
What were they thinking?
And we're back.
We are back.
We're back. Nathan.
Yes, Brendan.
You know what it's time for?
Could it be time for the low haiku?
17 syllables. 17 sexy syllables.
Careful, it's NPR.
Oh, sorry, 17 attractive syllables.
There you go. And not necessarily conventionally attractive.
No, could be emotionally or... I'm getting off track. But attractive.
Yeah, I understand.
And to use to describe the movie we just discussed at length, Red Dawn.
Yes.
Okay. I will, I think I'll start this time.
Okay.
Yeehaw! Get my guns! Gotta kill the dang commies! Murica, baby!
Very good. You added a nice Appalachian rural effect to your presentation. Very good. Very good.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Wolverines rule. Get those filthy commies. Patrick Swayze, yeah.
Very good, very good. Patrick Swayze, yeah, I would agree.
That's it. Well, yes, and well, it fit the syllables, so
yes.
I couldn't see Thomas how too much.
Hey,
whoa.
Nathan, we talked about Red Dawn.
Oh, we did.
And we had our opinions.
We absolutely did.
But what do we always say?
Well, Brendan, we always say,
Don't take a word for it.
That's right. Do not take our word for it.
just don't take our word for it.
Yeah, do not.
Don't. Why are you having problems with contractions?
Can we talk about that off air?
Well, I'm just saying, didn't you get the lyrical liner? It's don't take our word. It's the only lyrics in the song.
Nathan?
Except for yeah.
Nathan?
Yeah.
I have to talk to you about the contractions thing off the air, okay?
Oh, alright. Is this like that whole you don't know how to drive thing?
I can't discuss it openly.
And your no depth perception, that's why you can't watch 3D movies? Alright. No, Brendan, you take those tears, those tears, and you hold them inside until they turn into something else.
Now I'm angry. Let's read some fucking reviews.
Okay, Shane.
Why aren't I on this podcast?
That was more Vince than Shane Douglas, but...
Shane McDouglas.
Yikes.
So Red Dawn on Rotten Tomatoes has a 46% critics rating, although we should say there's only 24 reviews.
Oh, okay, so that's...
yeah.
Yeah.
50 like hovering around 50% is not a super shock. Like, that's not super low, it's not super high. Audience rating is higher, but not as high as I expected. It's 65%.
Yeah, that does seem kind of low, at least in my opinion, anyways.
For an audience rating, yeah.
But here's the thing. I don't know if someone is watching this with any seriousness or earnest in their heart,
oh yeah,
other than Ernest Perioral, they're not going to have a good time.
Yeah, it's one of those good bad movies. You just gotta enjoy the ridiculous parts of the movie, which is most of it.
Right.
So let's get into this. First one up is Kirk Ellis from the Hollywood Reporter. He has a negative review, and he says, "It packs plenty of rabble-rousing ammunition, but its sloppy execution is unlikely to win any merit badges for marksmanship."
Oh, because Eagle Scouts were mentioned.
Hey!
Matt Brunson from Creative Loafing, he writes, "No amount of warm and fuzzy 80s nostalgia can save Red Dawn. You are wrong.
He gives it a 1.5. Yikes.
Yeah.
This one is another rotten from Rob Vo of Mania.com. Major publication.
Right.
Red Dawn knows what it wants to say. It just has a hard time saying it, and too often it goes for the easy score instead of really delving into possibilities of the scenario. Yeah, it's called Red Dawn, so just putting that out there.
Well, Austin Trunick from Under the Radar actually had a more favorable review. Red Dawn may be far from the most plausible action movies of the 80s, but it's easily among the most memorable.
You know what Austin Trunick said when all those negative reviews came in?
Avenge me! Avenge me!
And then finally, I think the last critic's one I'm going to read anyway is from Jason Bailey of Flavor Wire. He says, when it was released in late summer of 1984, it was a big hit, which shouldn't come as a surprise. This was the year when Reagan won the presidency in a landslide. And if nothing else, Red Dawn plays like a Reaganite masturbatory fantasy.
Not far off.
No, that's a fair review.
I got one last critic one. This one's from Felix Vasquez Jr. from Cinema Crazed.
Oh, I like his dad better.
Certainly a silly, conservative-leaning product of its decade, but one that still holds a cache as fun and exciting. As a fun and exciting bit of escapism.
Well, those are the professional critics, Nathan.
Yeah, those are the guys who do it for the paycheck. Now let's talk about the people who do it for the love.
From their mother's basement. The first audience review I want to read comes from... Okay, I don't think this is this person's name, because they don't have a name, and their image file is broken, and it just says Avatar. So,
okay.
They give it 5 stars.
Alright.
I feel like we're going to see a lot of these. Clearly demonstrates the importance of having an armed militia via the Second Amendment.
See?
Yep.
Well, Stephen H. writes, as usual, the critics, quotes, get it wrong. Red Dawn is a cult classic with an A-list cast. It's cheesy in every way an 80s film should be. 4 stars.
Oh boy. Nathan, I found another one like the last one.
Okay.
This is from Joseph D., who gives it 5 stars. This is one of the best movies of the 80s, and it just gets better with time. The perfect antidote to today's pathetic PC culture. Guns, horses, and killing commies. The summary execution of Daryl is the best scene in the film. A conservative masterpiece. Fuck.
Well, Timothy M. did not feel the same way because he writes, this dangerous movie is by far my #1 all-time most hated movie. And for more information, I recommend that you check out the Renegades Cut review on YouTube. 1980s nostalgia at its worst. 1 star.
The Renegades cut?
No, sorry, the Renegade Cuts. I guess
Oh.
Renegade Cut is a YouTuber who reviews movies.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
This one is also a negative one. This is a 1/2 star. And it's from name withheld, I guess. There's no name. Ultimately, this was a pretty ridiculous piece of propaganda. The movie leaves you with unanswerable questions such as how they could get tanks into Colorado without warning, or why the Russians chose a ground attack rather than nuclear warfare, since that would undoubtedly be the result anyways. The take-home is clearly meant to be that Russians and their allies are evil, not just people with differing ideologies. Evil. The movie is entertaining, but you can do a lot better. 1/2 star.
Well, Daniel N. Took a more lighter member berries approach to his review. Gave it 5 stars. Says it's an American classic. The Oregon Trail generation grew up quoting this film. Wolverines.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I've got one more. And it's from Wesley M. 1 star.
Okay.
It was funny when people died.
All right.
Wow.
It. No, he wins. I can't top that.
So yeah, Red Dawn. So that's how people thought. There's some troubling reviewers in there.
Yes.
But Nathan, before we move on, we should give a hinterooski for next week's film.
Yes, our Flopbuster.
Yeah, Summer Flopbusters. That's right. We should note this is the month of Summer Flopbusters. Red Dawn was a summer release. Thankfully, that worked out because it was also a super patriotic movie. So Summer Flopbusters continues with our next film, Hint Away.
Yes. You'll check in, but you won't check out.
Is it the film adaptation of Hotel California?
No, you can check out anytime you want. You just can never leave. That's the line you're thinking of.
I thought it was you can check in, but you can... Oh, okay. What? Okay. I don't know.
I love how you reasoned it out by, oh yeah, no, I got that wrong.
Glenn Fry is in this movie, though, right?
Sure.
And Don Henley?
Right.
Noted.
Well, there is a Don, but not Henley.
So, okay, well, there you go. There's a Hinsky. And Montrose want to say a few words this week?
Sure.
Okay.
I can get him over here.
Montrose Monkey III, Esquire, and friends.
Hello. It's
Hi.
my friend Montrose. Stop it. What? We do this every time now. You're doing it on purpose.
I don't think that's true.
Stop it.
Okay.
It's a good friend Montrose Monkington III here. And I would say this was definitely a good pick as far as the movies go.
Thank
that
you.
you chaps normally have on this thing. However, I do feel rather insulted that they thought the British were just useless. Not my favorite part of the movie. Anyhow,
I do apologize on the film's behalf.
you should. So yes. Anyhow, if you would like to, once you're done watching your Red Dawn, you can then tune in to Montrose Monkington TV on YouTube, where we look at wrestling and other various things. And then you can also find me on Facebook, Montrose Monkington III Esquire and friends. And finally, you can also follow me on the Twitters at Montrose III. That's the number 3RD. And if you should feel free to send me a tweet about how the British are not useless, I would definitely say thank you for avenging me. Thank you. More later.
Jeez, that got really aggressive all of a sudden.
In this movie, it pumps you up, man.
Murica!
Yeah.
Yes, and you can also find us all over the place. What Were They Thinking podcast. You can find
We
us on...
spread it around, that's for sure.
Spread around for all to enjoy. We're invading you much like the Commies invaded America, except we're not shooting you down.
Yeah.
You can find us on Podbean at www.ttpodcast.podbean.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and of course you can find our social media stuff. You can search for us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at www.ttpodcast. You can find us on Redbubble and TeePublic. Just search for us on there. We have a little bit of merch on those sites. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/www.ttpodcast, where you can sign up for lots of cool bonus stuff there. And, yeah, I think that about does it.
Yeah, that's about right. You get everything.
And make sure to tune in to our Twitter page on Monday, where we will reveal the movie that Nathan hinted at.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, indeed.
Very good, very good.
I don't think it'll be as classy as these British accents.
No, definitely not. Spoiler alert, we already recorded it.
Well, either way, I would have said I'd seen it years before, and it is disgusting.
Well, with that being said, Nathan.
Yes, Brennan.
I wonder if you have any questions.
Well, I mean, I guess I have a couple.
Okay.
Okay, so, the general made this movie.
Yes, that is his name.
Right. And he is a method director who made the guy who was in charge of the kids as his character in the movie also in charge of the other kids the other actors that were in real life as well. And by doing that, he probably sowed a lot of seeds of discontent amongst his own cast. And he also apparently hired some sort of sociopath who wouldn't look people in the eye. And they paid him $1.25 million and a gun of his choice. I just have to ask, what were they thinking?
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. We talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time. Tangents galore.
Yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We might talk about video games, music. Yeah, that's the big one, music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Yes.
I am the master storyteller of the podcast realm. Undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers, the Google Play, Apple Podcasts,
what else?
Podbean,
what else?
Podcast Addict,
goddamn,
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ. We gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want his hair to say all that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
Don't run the listeners away, PJ.
I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we'll end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
Avenge me! Avenge me!